Round two of the Big Apple for the Rockies, taking on the New York Mets. And unlike yesterday, where there was a lot of rain in the air in and around the area, tonight is a gorgeous New York evening. The Rockies at 52-40. The Mets have won 9 of their last 15. They're 40-47. Charlie Blackmon actually stepping into the batter's box. He is ready to go against Seth Lugo. And the first pitch of the ball game is in there, strike one. Jordan Baker calling balls and strikes tonight. Seth Lugo making just his 6th start of the year. The Mets staff has been decimated by injuries. They got another great performance, obviously, last night from Jacob deGrom. This is hitting the air to left field. Yoenis Cespedes is out there, and he's got it. That will bring up DJ LeMahieu. Yesterday in his final at bat had a base hit. He also had a walk, so he's 1 for 3 yesterday. On base a couple times, scored a run. Here's the Southwest batting order tonight on AT&T Sportsnet for Buddy Black's Rockies. After DJ, it's Nolan, and then Gerardo Parra. We talked about him in the open. He's hitting .339. Raimel Tapia is getting the start in left field. Gerardo's at first base, you'll notice. Then it's Cargo, Story, Tony Walters, and Chatwood. And that pitch misses, ball one. Seth Lugo is not going to overwhelm you with a fastball, but he has a ridiculous spin rate on his curveball. That's his go-to pitch, and as the game wears on, if he's still in there, you'll see it more and more. Got pretty good movement on that heater, though.
Still, you always hear about spin rate, and this is a guy with the top spin rate in baseball, over 100, over 3,000 RPMs. But guess what? Hitters are hitting .385 against a curveball. If you leave it up, it'll get hit.
And there's the curveball, and it was hit pretty hard. TJ Rivera throws out LeMahieu. 2 outs as we look at Seth Lugo's numbers. He's making his first career start against the Rockies. He's got a .459 ERA. He got hit around pretty good against the Nats in his last outing.
Yeah, he really did, and then threw 3 innings of relief. That was more to just get his arm back in shape before All-Star break. This is a guy that will throw fastball, cutter, changeup, and curve. He wants to keep the ball down. He wants to fill up the strike zone. He's a ground ball pitcher, which is going to be an interesting thing to watch tonight when you're looking at the Mets defense that ranks near the bottom as far as defensive efficiency.
First pitch is in there, a strike on Nolan. Arenado in the ball game yesterday was 1 for 4. He had an infield hit in the first inning. Fell on that hip. I know there were a lot of people who were concerned when Buddy took him out mid-game. And there's a base hit for Nolan with 2 outs. He checked out fine after slipping. It was precautionary, get some early treatment, and a lot of it had to do with the cosmetics of the game at that point.
You just want to protect your guy. And Nolan is as important as anybody is on that roster. And when the game gets sideways, just to protect that makes all the sense in the world.
And he did come down hard on that. If you've never been on a major league infield, it's not like a sandbox, man. It's hard. It's firm.
It's clay. It's not dirt.
Here's Parra. Gerardo takes ball one. A couple hits last night for Gerardo. Had DJ not been ailing with the groin injury, he would have scored easily on that would have been sac fly for Gerardo really late in the ball game. Parra checking out with Jordan Baker, wanted to know if that would have been a strike.
It's important for the rest of the lineup today. We know the quality of bats that Charlie's been able to give, that DJ gives on a nightly basis, Nolan, and of late, Gerardo. You'd like to see Trevor have a game tonight. You'd like to see Cargo have a game. You'd like to see everyone in the lineup have a game.
Well, it's paramount moving forward. Much of that was discussed late in the first half and going into the All-Star break, that the Rockies needed, you know, 1 or 2 of those guys, hopefully, to really have second halves that are more emblematic of who they are. Rockies should get Ian Desmond back, by the way, tomorrow. That's fouled off. with the weather yesterday, they couldn't run in through the kind of tests they wanted to pre-game and have him run around the outfield. Today they were able to do that, and he checked out perfectly. So expect Desmond to be activated in time for the Sunday afternoon affair here in Queens. 1-2. Nolan's at first, 2 outs, just underway at Citi Field. And a bouncing ball to Rivera. He's got to go across the diamond, and he got it there just in time to get Parra. When we come back, Tyler Chatwood will be on the hill here at Flushing Meadows. The New York Mets. Tyler Chatwood is getting warmed up. Wants 2 more pitches, as just indicated to Tony Walters. His record 6-10. The whip is a little higher than you'd like because of the number of walks. But when Chatty is right, Billy, he is a really difficult guy to produce much against.
I think when we saw last night with John Gray, the inability to command the strike zone has been the same issue that Chatty has. John Gray doesn't have the same movement that Chatwood has, and so he's not able to get himself out of the traffic that Chatwood can get himself in. Fastball command is imperative for him tonight. Use the curveball, use the slider when he has to. But for me, if he's living at the bottom of the strike zone, it could be a long night for Mets hitters.
Chatty's allowed only 93 hits in 106 innings. That's, you know, you've given up fewer hits than innings pitched. That's a strong indication you have good stuff. 57 walks, though, is too big a number. This is his 19th start, and the first pitch to Michael Conforto misses. Conforto hit his 15th home run last night, a 3-run shot to the opposite field. The home runs, the RBIs, all career highs for this young player out of Oregon State. And that pitch is inside and low. 2-0. Conforto is patient. That's why they have him leading off. He's walked 40 times. His on-base percentage is .409. So a little bit like you know, a young Charlie Blackmon, in that he can hit the ball over the wall, but he's going to reach also.
Charlie never had the high on-base percentage that Conforto does. Pretty impressive athlete. Not only that, his mom was a...
And that's a 4th-pitch walk. And you look at Chatty, and he's an emotional guy, but there was no emotion there. He just immediately pointed to Trevor Story, saying, "Hey, I had a comeback where I've got you." It's like, all right, I'm moving on.
It's pretty much what you have to do at this point. Just trust your stuff. Try to find the strike zone. What I was trying to get out with Conforto, his mom was an Olympic gold medal synchronized swimmer.
Yeah, how about that?
1984.
Yeah, obviously very athletic. I'm not big on synchronized swimming, but I respect that. That is nowhere close. Now Walters has to go out. You know, after last night, the real short outing for John Gray, the Rockies doubly need Chatwood to be good. John ended up giving up 8 runs in 2 innings on 9 hits. Now, about 4 or 5 of the hits were of the bloop variety. He just could not get out of it, though. The 3rd inning, 6 straight reached against him. That is 6 straight out of the strike zone by Chatwood. This is a place he's usually performed beautifully in. He's thrown 17 innings at Citi Field in his career. He's allowed only 1 run, an 0.53 ERA here. And that's nowhere close. This will be an automatic take for Asdrubal Cabrera. Here in Queens, if they were partial to the Rockies, they'd give a Bronx cheer. And 2 walks. That, I'm sure, will get Steve Foster marching up the stairs. And here he comes. Here's the Southwest batting order for the New York Mets tonight. Here's Cespedes, then Jay Bruce with 23 home runs. T.J. Rivera's got a 9-game hitting streak. Lucas Duda. Jose Reyes performed well last night offensively and has been for the last couple of weeks. Travis d'Arnaud about 8th, and then Seth Lugo. I mean, this is the absolute last thing you need. You never want to see walks. We all understand that, but Rockies went fairly quietly in the 1st inning. They lost 14-2 yesterday. Defensively, you want to get into the ball game, and you're sitting back on your heels because there has been only 1 pitch thrown over the plate. Now you have this guy standing up there. Got a neon sleeve on. We get like 3 feet of snow tonight in Queens. You won't lose Cespedes. I want that bright yellow. That may have been a gift, that strike call from Jordan Baker. Cespedes 4 for 6 last night. He'd been hitting over the previous couple of weeks below 200.
Well, the Rockies haven't won back-to-back games since a 6-game winning streak that they had. And you can just capped off with the Nolan cycle. Everybody remembers that. But since that
was almost a month ago.
Yeah, it was almost a month ago, and in that time frame, only 6 wins in 20 games, outscored 125 to 80. And you have an ERA for the entire team at over 6, and when you're trying to get a foothold, you're trying to get it back, you need your starters to set the tone.
In the air to shallow center. That's 1 out. And that'll bring up Jay Bruce. Let's take a look at the experienced defensive alignment for Colorado tonight. Blackman is flanked by Tapia in left and Cargo in right. Gerardo Parras playing in first for Mark Reynolds. Reynolds getting the evening off. And Tony Walters, after watching Ryan Hannigan catch last night, will take his turn this evening. Inside, ball 1 on Jay Bruce. Chatty's actually handled lefties better this year than righties. Last year it was flip, which you would think right on right he would be relinquishing a lower average. This ball's well hit to center. And it's gone. Three-run home run, Jay Bruce, and the Rockies are once again looking at an early deficit. Home run number 24 for Bruce. He has 62 RBIs.
Well, when you're not able to locate fastball, you're just trying to throw a pitch for a strike. Jay Bruce does not miss this pitch. 24th home run on the season, 62 RBIs now. When the Mets made the trade for Jay Bruce, this was who they expected to get. They did not have him in the second half last year when they made the move, but for this season, it's the most extra base hits for a Met in the first half, dating back to Carlos Beltran from several years ago.
Rivera last night had a big night. Now Chatwood's bounced a couple. It's 2-0. Rivera hit one of the 3 home runs the Mets hit last night. That home run for the Mets was their 132nd. That's second most in the National League. And now you have a 3-0 count on Rivera. It's a 4-seam grip in the glove of Chatwood. And now he's walked 3. And this is scary stuff right now. There's one thing to be around the strike zone, and now they're going to bring a trainer out. This will allow Buddy Black to visit also to see what is wrong with Chatwood. Scotty Garrett coming out. Do you see him, Spilly, look at a particular body part? I did.
We've seen Chatwood throw fastballs in the mid to upper 90s.
Here's the thing, he just threw 3 pitches, 2 fastballs,
Bud's
and a
taking him
curveball.
out. Bud's taking him out.
Yeah, and he didn't throw strikes there. I don't know what this is, but Chatwood, after a third of an inning, is gone here at Citi Field. He thought last night had a clunkerish feel to it to begin. Now the Rockies will have to get somebody warmed up, and once again, they're going to have to eat up a ton of innings out of their bullpen. And again, I didn't see, reaching and indicating that some part of his body wasn't feeling right. So Chris Russin is going to come in initially, we've been told. The Rockies don't have the benefit right now, Spilly, of like an Antonio Senzatella down there, because Senza went out and threw during the All-Star break in anticipation that in all likelihood will start against the Padres when the Rockies return home. And last night, again, you had Jordan Lyles, who's the designated long guy. He worked 2 innings. You probably get some work out of Jordan tonight.
Well, you're probably going to look at a guy like Kyle Freeland or Jeff Hoffman. They're going to have to suit up and walk down towards the bullpen.
Well, Hoffman is tomorrow's starting pitcher.
Or Marquez. I mean, you're probably looking at Kyle Freeland to suit up.
It may be a Marquez, to be honest with you. I think they really want to stay away from Freeland, given the fact that he threw 126 pitches last Sunday. the volume of pitches and innings that he's thrown when you compare it to what he's done in the past for a young arm. To me, if they have to go in the direction of somebody in the rotation, it may be that man, German Marquez. So we'll find out. Chris Russin initially 1 out in the bottom of the first. The Rockies down 3-zip. Three-run home run. Tyler Chatwood had to leave after 4 batters. Check at 5 batters. He walked 3 of them. The only out, a Cespedes fly ball to shallow center field. So Chris Russin has been warming up, and he literally had to begin by playing catch, and then he stretched his arm out a little bit going between the behind the mound, and now apparently he's ready. He's had a terrific year.
He has. He's been the Swiss Army knife for Bud Black. And tonight, you're going to ask him to pick up quite a few innings. The most he's thrown this season is 3 1/3 against the San Francisco Giants, but that dates back to April the 13th. We'll see how long Bud Black allows Russin to go tonight.
Keep coming back to that same statement. We talked about it yesterday with the Mets and all of their injuries when they had that vaunted pitching staff. They thought they had arguably the best staff going in the National League, picked by some to go to the World Series this year. You can never have enough pitching. The Rockies have more depth than they've ever had, and it's going to get tested. Tyler Anderson right now is down with the scope on his knee. Chad Bettis made his first appearance in a rehab stint that will probably take 4 more starts. This is popped up by Duda. And out of play. Chad in his next outing will go around 45 pitches, 3 innings, and then 60, 75, 90. It's just how they do it during spring training. So probably not going to see Bettis until into August. Two strikes on Lucas Duda. TJ Rivera walked. He's at first base. And a strikeout of Duda for the second out.
And Russin gets on the side of his slider, well located, down and away to Duda. Duda's always susceptible to the strikeout. Swings right over the top of it.
Here's Reyes, switch hitting shortstop. Last night 3 for 5. He's hitting .395 over his last 12. He takes a strike. It's raised his average just to .221. His contract, which the Rockies are paying, expires at the end of the year. Then he has a $4 million buyout. There's a team option. No, there's no way the Mets will pick up. This is lobbed into shallow right for a base hit.
Usually how it works out, right? Rockies paying the contract, revenge at bats, 4 hits in the last 2 games.
Yeah, seems that way, doesn't it? d'Arnaud, the catcher, with 9 home runs. When he was in the Toronto organization, one of those guys that kind of had a super prospect label next to his name. He's somewhat symbolic of a lot of these Mets. Not a high batting average, but they hit home runs. Russin way back in spring training, because this has got to feel like a start for him now. Way back in spring training, was competing for a while for that 5th starter job. Bud Black, Steve Foster, Darren Holmes loved his versatility and felt like he'd be better utilized in a couple of roles in the bullpen. He's had more than a couple of roles. He's had about 3 or 4 different roles in that bullpen. 1-2, and ooh, man, right back through the middle. Around third, here comes Rivera. The throw to the plate is offline, and the Mets have a 4-0 lead. RBI number 30 for d'Arnaud.
Two-strike hit for the Mets. In the last 2 days, you've seen quite a few 2-strike base hits. This one, lucky didn't catch Chris Russin.
It's been a disaster of a start again tonight for the Rockies. This is the 9th man to hit in the first inning. Therefore, it's the pitcher Lugo taking off his Reyes for third. He's there. I mean, that's throwing salt in the wound, because with 2 outs, you're already in scoring position, and Reyes just swiped third.
moving his feet, shuffling, and for some guys, stealing third is the easiest base to steal if you're not getting paid attention to by the pitcher. Not much for Tony to be able to do to throw out Jose.
Up the middle, Lugo. And the Mets won't get, did he get to the bag? He did. Trevor Story bobbled it, but was able to get to the bag to get the force and to finally get off the field. Oh, he got it to LeMahieu, and he got it to him in time. 4 runs for the Mets.
Up 4-0. Starter Tyler Chatwood out of this game, and Jay Bruce hit a 3-run home run. Well, as good at the home run as the Mets have been, the Rockies, they've actually not been so great. Just 1.13 home runs per game. And in all of Major League Baseball, home runs are up. For the Rockies, it's the exact opposite. A team that's known for the long ball, they're down this year. They're tied for 11th last year at this point through July 14th. Now they're tied for 18th with those 104 home runs. Home runs per game I mentioned, and at bats per home run, they're way up, 30.3 at bats per home run. So the biggest question is, a lot of these home run hitters the same. We know the power numbers are down for Cargo and Story. But when you look at it as a whole, Spilly, and you compare it against Major League Baseball, as I mentioned, with the home runs up, what gives for the Rockies? Because it's very clear in July, when they hit less, or a home run or less, they haven't won a baseball game yet.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple to point out. When you're missing 2 big key cogs in Cargo and Story, as far as their numbers go at this point last year, you had Story close to 30 home runs and Cargo well on his way to having double digits. But those guys are being missed. The lineup needs them to get it going.
Right now, you just made the game a whole lot easier for Seth Lugo, kind of like last night when you're facing Jacob deGrom. He had a big lead, just pound the strike zone. Lugo's going to try to get a lot of ground balls with that sinker of his. Just take some of the pressure off him with a early 4-run lead. Obviously, a ton of baseball left, but the Rockies have to be shocked right now. The events of yesterday, and then you lose your pitcher 5 hitters in, and you're down a 4 spot. He won't panic, and he won't get outwardly real emotional, but there is a fire burning inside Buddy Black right now. I guarantee you that.
Oh, inside he's knocking over chairs and tables and throwing all the papers against the wall.
Yep. Three and one on Tapia. Buddy putting him in the lineup tonight, trying to ignite the offense because he typically brings a lot of energy and production and speed.
Tapia had a great homestand, 10 for 21, but the numbers that are starting the Rockies need to trim down is the striking. And there's no question. When you're striking out over the last month, over 25% of the time, the guys like the Tapias, the guys like the Valekas, the guys like the Paras who have been putting the ball in play are going to get more opportunities.
Strikeout number 1 for Lugo tonight. That'll bring up Cargo. The Rockies struck out 13 times last night, 11 times in 8 innings against DeGrom, twice in the 9th against Josh Edgin. Tonight's defense for the Mets brought to you by Experian. It's Cespedes Conforto and that man Jay Bruce, who hit a 3-run home run earlier. Rivera, Reyes, Cabrera, Duda, Darno's behind the plate. 3 on the right side now for Cargo. In last night's game, Cargo was 0 for 3 and a walk. Ground out, strike out, and a little flare to second. He takes ball 1. Cargo slugging just .335, which is just unheard of for him. A guy that's going to slug when he's right, well over 500. And we've seen this, the weak ground ball to the right side. 2 outs. And now Trevor Story will come up. So what did you see there, Spilly? Because Cargo got himself in an offensive count, a 2-0 count, and that's not a 2-0 result.
Just not getting the right pitch. I mean, for me, it's you need a ball up. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He's slinging a ball down, and I know when Cargo's right, he hits that, but right now you have to look for pitches right down the middle and don't come off of it until you get it. And it sounds silly to say that. Wait for a fastball right down the middle. Really, they're going to spin pitches. There's times if you simplify your approach to that degree, you'd be surprised how many pitches you get down the middle if you wait for them.
Two strikes on Story. We go to the bottom of the second. The Mets leading 4-0. TNT Sportsnet is brought to you by the 2017 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores. By the Wyoming Office of Tourism. Wyoming is full of adventure. It's time to find out if you are too. That's why TravelWyoming.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. We'll ride up from Park Avenue, the old Pan American building. Michael Conforto against Chris Russin, and the first pitch missed to begin the bottom of the second. The Rockies down 4-0 with Ryan Spilborghs and Jenny Cavnar. I'm Drew Goodman on a pretty evening in New York. Pitch is in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Conforto walked and came around on a 3-run Jay Bruce home run against Tyler Chatwood. Still no word from the Rockies clubhouse as to why Chatwood had to leave.
I know I'm always concerned with Tyler coming off 2 Tommy Johns. So you're always worried about elbow, but just based on the way that we watched him come off the mound, it looks to me more like a lower body problem.
It didn't seem like an arm issue.
It didn't look like an arm issue.
If it had anything to do with the arm, I don't think they would have allowed him to throw a pitch.
I mean, you see so many guys having blister issues this year, but I can't imagine getting a blister this early in a game, especially with the All-Star break.
But again, I didn't see anybody look at a finger or anything like that.
Nothing.
3-2. You know, maybe physically just didn't feel well. I mean, that could be an option also. And honestly, that's what you hope for, rather than some sort of injury that just Tyler didn't feel well. We'll find out at some point.
We'll get Jenny on it.
And a good hard sinker to strike out Conforto. 1 out, and that'll bring up Asdrubal Cabrera. Tonight, like any night, you can join in on the conversation. Send us your photos, questions, statements. Use Twitter or Instagram. Include the hashtag Toyota Talk. Cabrera walked his first time up on 5 pitches. Conforto had walked leading off the game on 4. Cespedes hit a fly ball to center, and then Jay Bruce hit a fly ball over the center field wall. TJ Rivera hit next. He walked on 4 pitches, and then Rockies training staff came out. Tyler Chatwood threw 3 pitches, 2 fastballs and a curveball. And handed the baseball, or had the baseball taken from him by Buddy Black. So we're waiting to hear as to what the situation is. 1-1 on the veteran Cabrera. A little more than a week ago, he said he preferred to play shortstop. And he indicated if he couldn't play short, he wanted to move on, and kind of backed off that a little bit. Got 2 veteran shortstops who probably don't have the kind of range you really like anymore at the position. Jose Reyes and Cabrera.
Well, if you make 11 errors,
probably going to lose your job.
It's not just range. It's if you're making errors. Last year, Cabrera had an excellent second half, finished strong for the Mets, ended up with 23 home runs, .280 batting average.
Could get him to fish after the changeup away. It's 2-2. Reyes has made 7 errors. That's a good pitch. Story across to Parra, 2 outs. Cespedes, a powerfully built guy. He's listed at 5'10", 2 1/4. That is a large protective shin guard. It looks almost like a catcher's shin guard.
It's a Japanese style.
The lower part of it, at least.
Yeah, it's a Japanese style shin guard. Had one just like it. Well, it's
and that's a base hit for Cespedes. He'll reach in front of Jay Bruce.
Four hits for Cespedes last night. Tonight he just gets around the baseball and overpowers it. This pitch is away from him. He's a strong human.
Bruce with his 24th home run in that first inning. Mets have 4 hits in the game already. Last night they produced 19 hits, and that's not unusual. I mean, it is unusual, you would think, but they've had 19 or more hits in a game 4 times this year. That's a big number. John Gray went 2 innings yesterday, so the bullpen picked up 18 outs. And tonight, just a third of an inning from Chatwood. One-two, and that is line toward the young man serving as a ball boy down the right field line.
And he whiffed it.
Well, in the league that this young man plays in, they don't typically hit the ball that hard.
Topspin got him.
You notice the netting.
Yeah, those guys are safe because of the net. They're
right.
not safe if there wasn't a net and him standing there.
There are a number of teams that have done this. The Mets hadn't done it yet, and the Mets didn't have it the first half of the year. They added it literally during the All-Star break.
It's good. I'm waiting for more teams to adopt that. So far we've seen Cincinnati had it. Philadelphia had it.
It's not without some controversy because there's a lot of fans who pay a lot of money for season tickets down there that don't want it. They don't want any obstruction to their view. So it's not, you know, just a slam dunk. Hey, it makes a lot of sense from a safety standpoint. That's clear. But there are people who sit in those locales who do not want it. 2-2 on Jay Bruce. Cespedes at first. 3-2 on Jay Bruce.
I just think we just watched a ball boy that has a glove in his hand with nobody around him. The ball hit directly at him, miss it.
Yeah. And he's got a nice glove, a Wilson A2000. So I'm guessing he's used it before.
And he has a helmet.
That's mandatory.
How about that? Let's say, all right, you don't want the nets up, but guess what? In order to sit in these seats, you have to wear this helmet.
With a mask on. Next pitch will be the 9th to Jay Bruce. It was Terry Collins who was quoted in the paper as saying, hey, he never would let his family sit in an exposed area. And DJ will get it on a hop. And Parra couldn't handle it. Walters will back up, and having to run to cover home plate is Chris Russin. You have an inexperienced guy at first base, and on a throw that was low but probably should have been handled, Parra whiffed at it, and now it's first and third. And right now the Rockies are playing like the '62 Mets.
That's not a good team to play like. When you're watching a first baseman, you want your first baseman to stretch, to reach out when the ball is being tossed, not to have your feet there. And that is the inexperience of Gerardo. You try to keep your feet together as long as possible and then reach out to go grab the baseball.
LeMahieu will get the error. A rare one on DJ. Just his 4th of the year. That extends the inning, and a hot hitter and TJ Rivera's up. Momentum exists in baseball. It has been a frequent topic of all announcers and good baseball people, I think, through the years, good baseball fans. But momentum has just about everything to do with your starting pitcher. It gives the defense momentum if he's working with tempo. In the case tonight, for whatever reason, Chatwood lasted only 5 hitters. He left with a 3-0 deficit. The Rockies have no momentum, and it's like little energy. But he's got to turn that around. It's going to happen offensively, clearly.
You have to get it going.
It can't be a speech in the dugout. It's got to be demonstrated out on the field. 2-1 on Rivera.
And we know with the bullpen being a little short tonight, a 10-pitch at bat for Jay Bruce plus an error.
And a base hit for Rivera, and it's 5-0. That's a 10-game hitting streak for the Bronx native.
Russin goes with the curveball. It's pretty much the same type of pitch that TJ hit last night for a home run.
Made a great point a moment ago because of the long at bat by Bruce and then ultimately not getting him out when the Rockies should have. Russin in the 2nd inning, even though he only picked up 2 outs in the 1st, has already thrown well over 40 pitches. And I don't know what the ceiling is, 60, 65, maybe. One on Duda. He struck out Duda in the 1st. That was the first Met player he faced. Sharply hit down the right field line. Extra bases. He's going to roll around in the corner. Bruce has scored. Here comes Rivera. He'll score. And the Rockies trail it 7-0.
When it rains, it pours. It's pouring on the Rockies right now. Self-induced. Rockies looking for a little bit of offense, putting Gerardo at first base. The inexperience at first base has come back to bite him. 3 runs now because of that play. Good effort by Gerardo trying to make the play on the ball down the line. But the mistake has already cost the Rockies a lot of pitches and 3 runs.
Jose Reyes again. So the Rockies, in not a full 11 innings, have been outscored 21-2 coming out of the All-Star break. Not what they imagined. Reyes hits this ball in the air to shallow left, and Tapia will get there. In the inning, 3 runs, all of them unearned. 3 hits and an error. 7-0 New York. Score 7 in a ball game. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Tony Walters will lead it off against Seth Lugo here in the 3rd. The Rockies have 1 base runner, Nolan Arenado, 2-out single in the 1st up the middle. Walters was the only position player not to play last night. Amarista, Tapia, and Story all got in the 14-2 loss. And Walters takes a moving fastball on the inside corner for a strike. Tony just 1 for 19 on the homestand in front of the All-Star break. He's looking to get going here in the 2nd half with his first start. And that's lifted to Conforto in center, 1 out.
RBI Baseball 2017 returns with fast-paced MLB action with all your favorite teams, players, ballpark, and much more. Get RBI Baseball today for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and mobile devices. Learn more at rbigame.com.
Chris Rawson, a good hitter by pitcher standards, takes a strike. Product of the University of Kentucky. I don't know what's going on with the Dodgers, Spilly. I just looked up on the scoreboard in the third deck above left field. They're up 5-0 already on Miami.
Yep, Dellinger already hit another home run, 26 now.
It's just ridiculous. Arizona lost last night as well. There's that score.
They've gone 27-4 in the last 31 games.
62-29. Overall, they lead Arizona by 8.5, the Rockies by 10.5. And the Arizona and the Rockies are the third and fourth best teams in the National League. Rawson didn't offer. 3-2. That's 3 strikeouts for Lugo. And that'll bring up Blackman, who hit a fly ball to left to begin the ball game. German Marquez left the dugout between innings and went down to the Rockies bullpen. Curveball's a strike. Right now all is quiet on the Western Front. Charlie pops this one up. Jose Reyes calling for it. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Seth Lugo. He's retired 7 in a row. 7-0. Toronto Rockies baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By Jack in the Box, come try the new sweet or spicy barbecue bacon cheeseburger and chicken sandwich for a limited time only. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Many iconic views around the 5 boroughs of New York. See, native New Yorkers, the ones that lived in Manhattan, used to call those folks who came from the island or Westchester or Rockland County or Jersey, the bridge and tunnel crowd.
The bridge and tunnel crowd?
Yeah, the bridge and tunnel crowd. Darno is retired. Seth Lugo got into a force play his first time. See, there's the Whitestone and the Throgs Neck, which are pretty close to one another, right? And when I was growing up, this ball's pretty well hit by Lugo. Really well hit. Left center field and gone. Kidding me? What is going on? Seth Lugo just lined a home run. That is his first career home run.
If there's something in the water, don't drink it. Fastball right down the middle. Russin trying to jump ahead of Lugo, and that is the last thing he expected. Right past the guys of the giant orange afros.
Michael Conforto. Oh, they gave the silent treatment. I wonder what was going on. How many silent treatments were you a part of when you were playing?
Maybe one.
It's got to be, you know, put together pretty quickly. All right, there, nobody go near him, right?
Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. Yeah, you do it. The best one for a while in AAA. The entire team would go into the clubhouse when a guy hit a home run.
Empty dugout.
Empty dugout. And then he'd come find you and celebrate with the team.
I like when the guys give the faux high fives. All right, nobody's there. So here's Seth Lugo now arriving.
Yeah, there you go.
He's giving the fake high fives, throw the helmet in the air.
I like how Jay Bruce is looking at his he's stoned him.
Yeah, what do you got? Conforto strikes out.
Good acting, Jay Bruce.
Spent his off hours in the theater district.
Yeah. Feature in Broadway.
He's back to the same. He's got the same demeanor going again.
Method
Drupal Cabrera 0 for 1 and a walk. So growing up, I always thought the Frog's Neck Bridge was the Frog's Neck, F-R-O-G-S, not T-H-R. These are the stories you share, Spilly, when it's 8-0. This is a nice play. Very well done by Trevor Story. 4 in the first for the Mets, 3 in the second, and then a solo home run by the pitcher, Seth Lugo, 8-0.
hitting .529, and the Rockies could sure use him. He's due up third here in this inning. Well, for Gerardo Parra, you know, he's hitting fourth tonight, and that's an unusual spot for a guy who's only about 5'8" on a good day. This is his 5th career start hitting cleanup, so I asked him about his power numbers.
I don't think nothing about power hitter, you know. I'm the line drive hitting. You know, I'll be fine. I'll be fine whatever the manager put him in the lineup. Yes, for me, the only point is play. You just play baseball because I love baseball. So I'm trying to help the team wherever he put me.
Well, Parra wants to contribute, and Bud Black needs him to contribute right now, as, of course, Carlos Gonzalez, Trevor Story, they're trying to continue to work their bats back. He's also playing first base to spell Mark Reynolds. He's admitted it is something he is not as comfortable with, and coming into the season, he was hoping that he didn't have to play that position. But again, as a product of versatility and the way this team is built, that's the position he's at tonight. So he said where he does feel comfortable is in this lineup. Of course, we saw a few mistakes made earlier in the game, and hopefully it's something he can correct.
All right, Jenny, thank you. And that ball's hit sharply for a base hit for DJ. Maybe I'll get the Rockies heading in the right direction offensively, down 8-0 here in the 4th. That'll bring up Nolan, who has the only other hit. Well, Spilly, you were right. It's Kyle Freeland, who is up in the pen, and I know the Rockies want to limit his innings. He's had 6 days, 5 full days of rest since throwing 126 pitches in that near no-hitter last Sunday against the White Sox. But he's going to go in his direction for a little bit, apparently. Spinning strike one. Curveball at 76 miles an hour from Lugo. Lugo played for Team Puerto Rico. He's from Shreveport, Louisiana, but he was the ace of Team Puerto Rico and started that championship game against Team USA on the West Coast. Team USA got after him pretty well in that ball game, but prior to that, Lugo had pitched well for Team Puerto Rico. 27-year-old's curveball's high, 2-1. Lugo went to Centenary in New Orleans. Centenary is now a Division III school. When he played baseball there a handful of years ago, they were still a D1 program. They've dropped down. They were in the Summit League back when he was playing his college ball in New Orleans. He was a 34th round pick. Man, your 34th round pick and you make it to the big leagues, good for you. This is potentially a double play.
Nothing's going right for the Rocks so far tonight. Get a guy on, double play.
A little other note on the 6'4" Seth Lugo. In 2011, his draft year, he's the only guy in that 34th round to get to the big leagues, though it was a strange year because 6 guys, Spilly, drafted after him, 35th round and beyond, have reached the big leagues. You never know. You'll have guys in the first round who never make it, a lot of guys. And then you'll have stories like a Seth Lugo.
Well, the Lugo one to me comes down to great scouting, because in his time, Lugo at the college he was at had a 5.57 ERA and was 3-7.
Yeah, it didn't have big numbers, or he had big numbers when it came to ERA. The wrong kind of big numbers. 0-1 on Gerardo. 0-2 on Gerardo.
But there was a Mets scout, an area scout named Jimmy Nelson, who saw him, loved the arm action, and invited him to a pre-draft workout. There's only a short list of guys. And apparently at this pre-draft workout, Lugo shined. He said it was the best he's ever thrown in his whole life. And sometimes timing's everything.
2 strikes.
Going back to what Jenny was talking about with Gerardo and playing some defense at first. So you look at Gerardo feeling that need at first base tonight. Mark Reynolds has struck out 14 times.
Last 27 at bats.
So you understand what Bud is trying to do, find some offense.
Lugo gets a lot of run on his fastball. Lugo's got it, and the Rockies, despite the base hit, go 1-2-3. Middle of 4, 8-0 New York. Over in the bottom of the 4th inning, and we must flash back to last Sunday. So close for Kyle Freeland. Great catch by Gerardo Parra to keep the no-hitter intact, and then strikeout. He got to the 9th, got a strikeout, 1 out, and then a 2-2 pitch to Melky Cabrera. Didn't hit it hard, but he hit it in the right place. And he broke up the no-no on pitch number 126. It is the longest no-hitter or no-hit bid by a Rockies pitcher ever at Coors Field. The only one longer was Hideo Nomo in '96 when he threw a no-hitter. It was the 2nd longest no-hit bid, other than the only no-hitter by the Rockies. That, of course, Ubaldo Jimenez in April of 2010 in Atlanta, Georgia. So here's Freeland against Cespedes, and that fastball sinks away. 1 ball, no strikes. Rockies wanted to slow down Kyle Freeland, just like they did with Sensatella, wary of too much use on their arm early in their career. They'll do the same thing at some point with German Marquez. Some of it will depend, Spilly, on what we learn as to why Tyler Chatwood had to leave so early in the ballgame. Popped up, LeMahieu territory. That'll bring up Jay Bruce. Rocket Arms is brought to you by Quicken Loans. Best ERA among National League rookies. Kyle Freeland ahead of the class, and a lot of Rockies on there, not surprisingly. That quartet has been outstanding, as you know. Broke a record, first 4 to win 5 or more games in the first half of the season. First 4 rookies ever on the same club to produce that number of victories. They've been leading the Rockies, and they're going to have to lead them through this funk that they've been mired in for 3 weeks. Jay Bruce, a 3-run home run in the first, and then a really significant play in this game with the Rockies down 5-0. Actually, at the time they were down 4-0. Jay Bruce hit what would have been an inning-ending little flare one-hopper to DJ LeMahieu. His throw was a little bit low to Gerardo Parra. Parra doesn't have a ton of innings at first base. Parra didn't come up with it. LeMahieu got the error, but then there was behind it a single and a double that produced 3 runs, all of them unearned. And so instead of, you know, down 4 or even 5 runs, now you're down 8. And Spill, you know, as a player, that feels like a large mountain.
And just the way that they're already playing, even a 5-run lead seemed like a mountain. Make it 8.
But you know, in a situation with a 5-run game, you get a couple hits, score a couple runs.
Exactly.
Hey, you know, we're in this thing too, 5-2. I mean, it's going to take one heck of a rally, clearly. 2 outs. TJ Rivera, a walk and a single. He's driven in a run. He has scored 2. He's got a 10-game hitting streak. He's hitting above .450 during the hitting streak.
Well, this marks Kyle Freeland's first ever professional baseball relief appearance.
Starter throughout the minor leagues. Starter in college at Evansville. Kyle had another near no-hitter against Creighton as a freshman, 8 2/3.
I think I shared the story last night. During Kyle's game, I was not supposed to interview, do anything. I was set up to do pre and post game. And as the game got closer and closer to the milestone, I had to go down into the dugout in the camera well. And I've never been more nervous at a game ever. Plus knowing that as being a former player, we're not accustomed to interviewing people all the time. I know I've done it for a while, but I wanted to ask the right question.
I think it's nerve-wracking for everybody, even tangentially involved. I told you I had sweaty palms the last 2-3 innings. I know Huey did. Especially when you get through the 8th and you're like, I mean, 3 outs.
The last guy, he struck out in the 8th. I mean, it was wild at Coors Field.
And the other thing that was neat about it, and you could watch this game again and review it, there was not a ball hit hard the entire game against Kyle. The base hit wasn't hit hard. The one spectacular play defensively was a blooper that Parra made the great catch on. It's a walk to Rivera. There was no line shot in the gap. There was tracked down. There wasn't a bullet at the shortstop. There was none of that. It wasn't a hard hit ground ball. Lucas Duda at the plate.
Not to keep piling on the Rockies in the last 2 games, but I'm going to pile on. It's been 12 innings. There hasn't been one clean 1-2-3 inning.
Wow. Unfortunately, it feels that way also. And if it feels that way up here, it feels that way for the fans at home. Well, it's got to feel that way for the guys playing.
I think that says it all.
Ball and 2 strikes on Lucas Duda. He had a 2-run double in the 2nd inning. And a ground ball to second. LeMahieu to Parr. That'll end the inning. We move on to the 5th, 8-0 Mets. Challenge question. Go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. We'll show you the results during the postgame show later on. What's your favorite New York City attraction?
Not City Park or City Field. Not this place.
Right now, no. That's not even listed, thankfully. Statue of Liberty, which that's what you're looking at in the background. The Empire State Building, Central Park, Times Square. For me, what do you think I would say?
You're going to say the Statue of Liberty.
No.
I'm not a huge fan of heights, so Empire State Building's out. You're a Central Park guy.
Yeah, I'm in the park every day.
Yeah, you're running around.
Love the park. It's one of the great parks of the world. Raimel Tapia against Seth Lugo. He swings over the top of that sinker.
I do like walking through Times Square because I usually buy those really fancy watches. They're really cheap. They're nice.
Yeah, very inexpensive.
Yeah, and it's a great place to get a handbag.
They keep time. You know, if you get one in Times Square, by the time you walk down to Central Park, you probably need another one.
My wrist turned green after wearing one of them.
Tapia is behind 0-2. Tapia hitting 5th. In a lineup, Cargo will follow, then Story. Lugo's allowed 2 singles, an Arenado single in the first, a LeMahieu single in the fourth. Rockies last night, 6 hits, that's all, 5 singles and a double. Charlie had the double. That was off the wall in left center field. Charlie had come in 0 for 11 against Jacob deGrom. He had 2 hits against him. Typical Charlie.
Still no word yet on what has gone on with Tyler Chatwood from earlier today, why he was removed.
Rivera makes the catch.
The first 10,000 fans Friday, July 21st, will receive an Ian Desmond Rockies t-shirt, courtesy of AT&T Sportsnet. Expecting to see Ian on the field very soon. The hints have been for tomorrow.
Pretty definitive hints. Again, he ran around before the ball game well, tracking balls in the outfield. Cargo fouls off the first pitch. He grounded technically to shortstop. His first time up, right into the shift. And it's 1-2.
And that swing right there for Cargo. She's reaching out, trying to get the baseball in. And anytime you're struggling, trying to go out and reach for the baseball, there's no sitting back. You're on your front side.
That is the 4th strikeout for Lugo. 2 gone, and that'll bring up Story. He struck Story out on a high fastball in the second inning. You know, at some point in time, you're going to have to figure out another method to help out the players that are struggling, because there are just way too many empty at bats. Story will glide into second with a double.
Well, Trevor gets a pitch he can handle and fires it into left field. Takes a chance trying to get to second base. Love the effort. He's trying to get something going, something ignited for the Rockies. It's fortunate, Cespedes' throw wasn't on line.
So here's Walters. Tony hit a pop fly to center. 3-0 on Tony Walters. Pitch outside the Subaru strike zone, called a strike by Jordan Baker. Always believe this about baseball. It's not who you're playing, it's how you're playing. You have to play to your standard. And the Rockies, you set the bar so high with how they played the first 2.5 months. Need to get back to that standard of play in whatever you do. If you're a pen guy, if you're a starting pitcher, if you're a position player. We've talked about the fact that the first 4 series for the Rockies are against sub-500 teams after the break. That's all well and good, but if you don't play to your standard, it does not matter who you're playing.
You just tell by body language, this is not a team that is 12 games over 500. I mean, at some point, you have to remind yourself you're a good team, but when you're playing the way that they have the last 3 weeks, it's hard to remind yourself that you're a good team. It's hard. And I mean, when certain guys are going through, if you've played this game long enough, you know what it feels like to be underwater. You know what it feels like to have the snakes in your head. And it feels like there's no end in sight.
Tony walks. That'll bring up Freeland. First time today the Rockies have had 2 on base.
To be honest, when you're looking at a team that's going through a stretch like this, as silly as it sounds, the rah-rah guys, the guys that are constantly with that energy, that they help out a lot.
But if you have that kind of energy and you are typically one to step forward and speak, you have to be producing somewhat to feel comfortable being that guy.
And that is the problem. The guys that are the typical vocal ones are not putting up the numbers that they feel comfortable being loud.
Yeah, the most likely guy is Parra. And Parra is a guy that will speak up, and obviously Gerardo's playing very well also.
Well, and Ian Desmond was brought in because he is that type of guy, but he's still trying to get acclimated to the team. He get hurt in spring training.
Remember, he had never been on the disabled list in his career. He's been on twice now this year. Curveball strikes out Freeland. Rockies will leave 2 aboard. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. It's been all New York.
Rockies trail 8-0. Kyle Freeland, an unexpected pitcher in this game. Sometimes you got to be flexible with your routine, but it's time now for our Rocky routine brought to you by UC Health. And we asked Kyle about his routine between starts.
For me, it's learning from the previous start and, you know, taking that into my next start and having to tweak little things like, you know, my mechanics or, you know, arm slide, anything like that. I'll look at that in video or talk to Foster or Homie about it, and you know, we'll kind of talk it out to see what I need to adjust to improve on or anything like that. And those are kind of my routines in between starts.
Well, from Kyle's last start, not much he probably had to change, seeing as he had a near no-hitter. But guys, this is probably kind of fast-forwarding the plan for the Rockies. It looks like they're going to take all of their rookies at some point, or at least intermediate, and try and put them to the bullpen to minimize their innings. It looked like Kyle Freeland might have been the next one up. So tonight, he might have just gotten a jump start on becoming a reliever for a little bit to keep those innings down.
Yeah, you're right, Jenny. When you look at the innings pitched by these Rockies, young Rockies starters, it is important to get off of them. 162 innings pitched for Kyle Freeland is his career high. You look at Antonio Senzatella, 176. Herman has gotten the closest to 200 innings pitched, and Jeff Hoffman. And when you're looking at what the Rockies are trying to do, keeping these arms fresh, nice play by Kyle. It makes perfect sense. If you're not going to use the 10-day disable list, to move your guy into the bullpen and take a lot of weight off the arm like we've already seen with Antonio.
Got to see how athletic Kyle Freeland is, just fielding that little comebacker, knowing Reyes has good speed. He'd already opened his hips as he fielded the ball, and in one motion, he doesn't have the yips throwing the bases. Kyle fired it right on the money to Parra. One out, Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher, single to drive in a run in the first and a ground ball to third. Second inning of work for Freeland. This ballpark opened in 2009, so Spill, you had the distinction of playing at Shea Stadium and Citi Field.
Shea Stadium was a lot louder, a lot smellier.
And a lot louder with the planes going overhead. Even though the planes still go overhead here, it just seemed like the ones heading to LaGuardia or coming from JFK, did it not seem like the entire evening you heard the thrust of 727s overhead.
Well, there's so many times you're trying to go to bed. It's like when if you go on a boat, it feels like when you go to sleep, you're still on a boat. When you go to bed, you can still hear the aircraft in your head. I was happy when Shea Stadium was destroyed. I'm sure there was several thousand rats that weren't.
3-2, good pitch. Boy, that nasty movement. Second strikeout for Freeland. I had some sentimental feelings for old Shea Stadium.
For the Rats?
Not for the Rats, but it's where I grew up going to baseball games, so it was sentimental for me a little bit. I will not miss the broadcast booth at Shea Stadium where, you know, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, Spilly.
Not at all.
No, I'm not.
He's sitting on phone books.
Right, and here's Kyle, another chance to make a play defensively. Out as Parra came down on the back. But the old booth there, if you remember, well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't have known that. I mean, there were cables hanging down. They were like on top of your head, so you felt like the rats were running on top of you. So, yeah, it was an older stadium. It served its purpose, but Citi Field's a beautiful venue. Now the Rockies got to get going because it's been an ugly night. Good play by Parra. 8-0 New York. to you by T-Mobile. News notes around the game. Mad Bum, after getting hurt in that motorcycle mishap in Denver, finally returns for the Giants. It probably will be too little too late. They'll take on the Padres. First game since April the 19th. Johnny Cueto, with Bumgarner coming back, he goes on the DL with blisters. And Joe Ross, bad news for the Washington Nationals. The right-hander will undergo Tommy John surgery. Washington way out in front in the National League East, but that's quality arm.
It is a quality arm. It's unfortunate for the Washington Nationals, and Johnny Cueto was blaming the blisters on the baseball. If you look at some of the numbers over the last 2 years,
flat seams is what some of the pitchers are complaining about.
We've seen more blister issues in the last 2 years than the previous 10 combined.
Seth Lugo in the 6th inning. We'll see Charlie Blackmon, the top of the Rockies order. Colorado has been shut out. They have 3 hits. 2 singles and a double last inning by Trevor Story with 2 outs. The other base runner, Tony Walters, walked after the Story double. But Freeland struck out looking. And Charlie will hit this curveball on the ground to second, 1 out. David John LeMahieu, 1 for 2. He singled in the 4th. So Seth Lugo went to Centenary. Our good friend from MLB.com, Thomas Hardy. Love Thomas. Thomas not working on this particular road trip, but he tweeted out that he was hoping I mentioned the most famous athlete ever to come out of Centenary. And I will throw it out there for you, Spilly, because you're a big sports fan.
Well, I know that the male sport teams are called the Gentlemen, and the female sport teams
are probably not called the Gentlemen.
No, they're called the Ladies.
Love it.
So I'm trying to think of
who's the most famous athlete. Team sport guy.
Team sport, okay.
One of the big 4. It's New Orleans, so it's not a hockey player. But you know what? I'm going to narrow it down. It was a basketball player.
No idea.
He won a number of titles. Played with Larry Bird, Kevin McHale. He had a great nickname.
All right, hang on. It's got to be Robert Parrish.
Yes.
And I can't remember.
Did that get fed in your ear,
no,
by the way?
No, I promise. It did not get fed in my ear.
You don't remember his nickname?
No, I didn't like it.
This could be a tough play, no play for Reyes, and that'll be another hit, I'm sure, for DJ. They're little.
I would have called him the Big Ugly because I was a big Lakers fan.
Well, you were out there on the West Coast.
So West Coast bias. What was his nickname?
Chief.
It doesn't even make sense.
Why not?
Chief is from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the gigantic monster guy.
What was the first words that Chief uttered in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
No idea.
It was something along the lines, want some gum, or is that Wrigley's? He hadn't spoken the whole movie. I loved it, right? They just throw it to him, and this ball's in the air to shallow left, and it is trapped out there and kicked around by Cespedes. Nolan's going to go to second, LeMahieu to third, and that will be a double.
Keep an eye on Jonas because that is a scary play for an outfielder. You're hoping to slide on the grass, and look at the gigantic divot in left field.
And he's had injuries this year, hamstring injury in particular. That is, wow, that is an ugly divot.
Nolan catches it out in front, fooled by the off-speed pitch, and that is not. Terry Collins and the athletic trainer is going to come out and take a look at Jonas. That's the biggest divot I've ever seen in a major league outfield. That looks like,
well,
when I'm
did you ever slide in the outfield at Chase Field? Because you take up huge divots there.
Wow,
that's dangerous.
That is really dangerous. You're right. I mean, that's 3-4 inches into the dirt. Over the course of this year, the Mets and all the different medical debacles that has gone on, from Noah Syndergaard refusing to go into the MRI chamber and then tearing his lat. Terry Collins is going to plead with him and make sure that he's okay.
David Wright, obviously, he's had spinal stenosis. He has not played at all this year. Syndergaard, they hope to get back. Familia, they hope to get back. Neil Walker, they hope to get back soon.
Is he coming out of the game? It looks like it. And Terry's going to go talk to home plate umpire Jordan Baker.
I put Granderson in, wouldn't you think? Granderson or Reynolds.
We saw last night with Nolan when the game got sideways. Bud Black didn't want to take a chance to get him hurt. It's probably the same type of deal.
So it'll be Curtis Granderson getting a nice round of applause from the crowd. This is one of the most philanthropic players in baseball. And Cespedes walks off. This may be similar to last night on the other side of things when Buddy Black in the middle innings removed Nolan Arenado, who had hurt his hip a little bit. The Mets are up 8-0. Cespedes is their meal ticket. If they have any chance at turning their season around, Cespedes has to be in the lineup. So Granderson will play center and Conforto will move to left. Here's Parra, 2 in scoring position, and he hits this ball to deep left field, and Conforto will make the catch, and coming down the lane will be DJ, and this is the sac fly combination that didn't produce a run last night when DJ was called safe initially. Then they reviewed it and he was actually out at the plate. So it's 8-1. There's Raimel Tapia. Thank you was the first words uttered by Chief in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But it was for the stick of gum from Jack Nicholson's character McMurphy. I have felt like at times, Billy, that I was an extra in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This ball lined toward left center and right center. It's going to drop. That was an interesting route by Jay Bruce. Tapia has doubled in Nolan Arenado, and it's 8-2.
Now you're starting to piece some at bats together. And even though there's not a ton of extra base hits, we haven't seen a ton of home runs. This offense, if we can get going, start getting that confidence back, Rockies have a chance to make a little bit of noise tonight. Well, you're watching Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce takes a real steep angle trying to get to it. I think off the bat, he thought maybe he had an opportunity to dive. And that is why all good center fielders back up the corners.
Cargo with a ground ball to second. And that'll end the inning. Rockies get a couple of runs on 3 hits. Middle of 6, it's 8-2. Colorado Rockies baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. The hustle and bustle at Times Square, no matter what time of the evening. We're in Queens, where the Rockies trail 8-2. Kyle Freeland making his first professional relief appearance. Third pitcher utilized tonight. Still no word on why Tyler Chatwood had to leave after a third of an inning. Chatwood gave up 4 runs on 1 hit, 3 walks. 3-run home run to Jay Bruce. Chris Russin went 2 2/3, 4 runs, 1 earned. 6 hits, didn't walk anybody, struck out 3. Freeland so far in 2 innings has struck out 2, walked 1, no hits against him as he's facing Conforto here. Kyle's, this looks a lot like what we watched last Sunday, man. Just give me the baseball, big moving fastball. He's been jamming right-handed hitters. Wicked movement. One-two on Conforto. See ya. Not even close. Good looking stuff from Freeland. 3rd strikeout. That's something he's done. He did on Sunday, and he's doing it again tonight. Remember, 10 starts, he struck out 20 guys. It was all contact. He's missing bats now.
He's a lot more aggressive. He's attacking the hitter far more than he was in the past. He was counting on his ball to sink off the corner. He was trying to pitch on the edges. Now he's coming right after you.
As Drupal Cabrera 0 for 2 and a walk. Kyle's been quick and efficient, getting ahead of hitters. Here's the 0-1. Mets have been a good second half team. Each of the last 3 years they've finished above 500 in the second half. They're like a lot of teams this time of year, Spilly, deciding whether they're going to buy, sell, or sit and watch the rest of the league.
Sandy Alderson yesterday in a press conference with Mets media let it be known that, look, if this team didn't turn it around, he was going to move a lot of players.
I don't know how many are movable, though.
I don't know either.
You know, even Addison Reed, who's pitched pretty well for the Mets this year, Addison Reed's velocity for a Penn guy has really dropped off. Now, he's a smart guy, knows how to pitch, but it's a day and age where you got to have a big arm. That's a nice pickup by Story. He'll throw across and get Cabrera. Good play by Trevor. He's made a couple of nice plays tonight. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Curtis Granderson for the first time.
All kids through the gates on Wednesday, July 19th will receive the Hartford Signature Red Fire Helmet as part of Junior Fire Marshal Fire Safety Day at Coors Field.
Does Tatum, your son, like is he a fire engine guy? He's at that age.
He was earlier. Now he's into Legos and bike riding.
I love Legos. Outside on Granderson. Legos have changed through the years. You know that, Spilly. I mean, there's many different sizes of Legos now. You ever been in Southern California to Legoland?
Yes.
Legoland's cool.
It's cool.
They have mini Manhattan made out of Legos. Are we really talking about Legos here?
Well, kind of have to.
Yeah. 1 and 2 on Granderson. Curtis had an abysmal start to the year. He's picked it up of late. Last 45 games, hitting well over 300. Freeland wants a check on it. And Mike Everett says, nope, no swing. It's actually 48 games in which Granderson's hit .312. 2-2. And that slider gets, man, is he throwing the ball well. This is really what we watched last Sunday for 8 1/3. Cooney Lexus of Greenwood Village. Look back. Tyler Chatwood couldn't find the strike zone while he was out there, and for an undisclosed reason, he was removed after 5 hitters. He gave up a 3-run home run to Jay Bruce. We're still awaiting word as to why he was taken out. Seth Lugo has pitched well, but he's been staked to a big lead. Rockies got a couple runs last inning. We go to the 7th. It's 8-2. It's not been the kind of start to the second half that the Rockies had envisioned. Lost yesterday 14-2. Down 8-2 here. Story at double in his last at bat. That was in the 5th inning with 2 outs. And he rolls this one over on a slider away. Low throw, and that was close because Story can fly. Tony Diaz raises his hand, I think, toward the dugout. They're going to take a look at this. Story is going to hang around the bag.
They got him.
And now he's going to come off. Rockies will not challenge. Told you that Rivera's had some throwing issues at third. That is darn close, but the rule is once it touches leather, they call it a catch. That's interesting because he was a scoop ostensibly. 5-3, 1 out, Tony Walters. Mark Reynolds is in the on-deck circle to hit for Freeland. So Kyle, 3 beautiful innings, man. Think about this, Spilligus. I call you Spilligus affectionately,
yep,
because we're in New York, where you got that nickname.
Unfortunately.
In the last 11 1/3 innings, one Kyle Freeland has allowed 1 hit. That's pretty good. He struck out 9 last Sunday, right? Looking at my box score from last Sunday. He struck out 9 and walked 3. So he struck out 13 and walked 4 in his last 11 1/3. How special is that?
That's great.
Spilligus.
All right, so let's, if people have never heard the Spilligus story, it comes down like this. In 2006, the Rockies are facing the Mets, and it was a 10-year, 20-year anniversary of the Mets winning the World Series in '86. So everybody's at Shea Stadium. Everybody cannot wait to watch the Mets take on the Rockies. By the 3rd game on Sunday, we're getting our tail handed to us. And so Todd Helton's on deck, and one of the many fine Mets fans that are out there starts screaming at Helton that he's the biggest flop ever. And so I protect Todd. I was like, hey.
Being a rookie, want to step forward, be heard.
Tell the guy, like, this is one of the good players in baseball. This guy's great for the game. Leave him alone. And he starts like looking down, trying to read the back of my jersey. It's like, Spilligus? Who Ozias? Don't even shower. Just go straight to the bus. And Matt Holliday and Garrett Atkins are, you know, they like hear what he said, and they both put their heads down, and they laugh because it's true. I didn't do anything, and I should just not even shower, go straight to the bus. And from that point on, I was known as Spilligus.
I love that nickname. I prefer, so I mix in a fair share of Spillies and the sporadic Spilligus. And you're good with that.
I'm fine with it.
I see the fan, by the way, that nicknamed you Spilligus. He's right there about 2 rows up behind the Mets dugout.
Pay him a visit.
Yeah.
Tell him
remember my boy Spilligus.
Yeah,
Spilligus, you're still around. Go get out of the bus, Spilligus. There he is. There could have been that guy. Not the guy in the middle, though. That guy loves you. This ball's lined by Reynolds to right, but it's at Jay Bruce. So Cody Bellinger triples in the 7th for the Dodgers, and he is hit for the cycle. I guess they could probably go and ship him the Rookie of the Year award right now, huh? And that's despite what guys like Kyle Freeland have done for the Rockies, Senzatella. What is it, with Dodgers and rookies? They've had more Rookies of the Year than anybody. They had a run of 5 in a row at one point.
Started with Eric Karros, then it went to Mike Piazza right after that.
And Todd Hollinsworth in there, who eventually played for the Rockies. We'll see Hollinsworth. He's in broadcasting now. He's been in broadcasting for a while, but he's doing Marlins games now.
And I think it went Raul Mondesi and then Hideo Nomo.
It's kind of crazy. Up on the wall at AT&T Park in San Francisco, that's Piazza's number 31. They have all of the awards won by, this is ripped down the line. Charlie Blackmon's first knock of the game. That's to the corner. And here comes Tony Walters home with the Rockies' 3rd run. And that is triple number 11 on the season for Charlie Blackmon. And RBI number 62. What did you say off the top of the broadcast? He never, ever, ever, ever gives at bats away, no matter what the score is.
And that is so important because you're always in a game with Charlie Blackmon there. Look at the amount of RBIs he has at a leadoff spot. Make that 62 now for Charlie. He gets an opportunity to pull a ball down the first baseline. Keeps his eye on Tony Walters because you don't want to run yourself out of this inning with DJ coming up. Make sure he gets to third base standing. So if he decides to slide.
Eight to 3. He leads in triples. He leads in hits. He leads in beards. 8-3. They're within 5 with 2 outs, and Charlie at third. DJ LeMahieu coming up. He's going to face Paul Sewald after 6 2/3 of Seth Lugo. This Mets bullpen, other than Addison Reed and Jerry Blevins, has not been good.
3-pitch mix for Sewald. Fastball, changeup, and a slider.
And unlike so many bullpens, Spilly, they don't really have a bunch of big arms down there.
looking at an average fastball velocity for Sewald at 91.2 miles an hour.
Two in the Subaru strike zone, only one call to strike, so that's to DJ's advantage. It's 1-1. 2 hits for DJ tonight, moving his average up to 310. Led the National League with 348 last year. Charlie came into the ballgame 5th in hitting in the National League at 321.
See the deception that Sewald throws. And he has 41 strikeouts in 35 in the 3rd inning. Little short arm, hides the ball well.
Boy, that was a hit me slider, wasn't it, Spilly?
Sitting right there, but when you haven't seen somebody, DJ, for him, it's his first time facing him. There's a pitch hanging right up in the zone. It's hard to get it.
And he got him with a fastball. Rockies get a run. A triple by Blackman drives in Tony Walters, who had walked, and it's 8-3. Stretch time in New York. Score after 3 innings of play. They're on to their 4th pitcher of the night. It'll be Jake McGee. 3 shutout innings for Freeland, 3 hitless innings for Kyle. And Jake, who had a really fine first half, will make his first appearance here in the second half. He'll get Jay Bruce, TJ Rivera, and another left-handed hitter in Lucas Duda.
It's been a long break for Jake McGee. Hasn't thrown since July the 8th. If you're looking for somebody who has a nice fresh arm, looking to pick up a couple innings, Jake is your guy.
Yeah, and I don't think Bud will do that because he wants Jake on the plus side if he needs him tomorrow. I think this is a 3-out affair for Jake. But we shall see. Charlie Blackman's triple is 11. Charlie joined Jim Rice, who did it twice in 77 and 78, as the only hitters in big league history to have 20 home runs, 10 doubles, 10 triples or more prior to the All-Star break. Charlie was 17 doubles in the first half, 10 triples. I mentioned tonight was his 11th, 20 home runs. Jim Rice is a Hall of Famer. That dude has been special. He was special last year when he hit 29 jacks. Well over 300. Here's the 0-1 to Bruce, and that was not handled well by Tony Walters, which is unusual. 1-1.
Is Charlie still talking to himself?
Who else are you going to talk to? There's no one around him.
No, he's having a full-on conversation.
But look around. I mean, Carr goes 50 yards to his left, and Tapia is 50 yards to his right. His closest friend in baseball, DJ LeMahieu, 70 yards away. Who else are you going to talk to? How many conversations did you have out there by yourself?
Well, not where I'm actually speaking out loud. It's all internal.
I told you to talk to your glove, right?
Talk to everything.
Your glove's your friend. Two and two on Jay Bruce. 98 on that fastball. And a strikeout of Bruce.
The first 10,000 fans through the gates this Monday. Rockies versus Padres game will receive a coupon for a Hebrew National dollar hot dog.
Rivera tonight has been on 3 times. And this is lifted to deep center field by Rivera. Blackman will run it down. 2 outs. Duda flashing back to the 60s with his walk-up music, huh?
I like it. Classic rock. It's hard to go wrong with certain songs.
I would agree. Just like for you, Fashion Monster, when you played over in Japan. Strike 1 on Duda.
That was the only song that I understood when asked by, in the 1 year that I played in Japan, Japanese.
Well, that's because your first song, according to your skipper over there, lacked fighting spirit.
And that was Fashion Monster.
Oh, so, that was Fashion? That
yeah.
lacked fighting spirit. I thought you came to Fashion Monster after.
No, Fashion.
So what did you go to? Did they pick one for you?
They picked Over the Top, the theme song from the movie with Sylvester Stallone as a arm wrestler. They thought that was going to give me some fighting spirit.
Did it?
No.
Nothing helped at that point. Jake McGee blows away Lucas Duda, and it's a 1-2-3 inning after 2 1-2-3 innings from Kyle Freeland. So we'll go to the 8th, 8-3. Arenado leading off for the Rockies. TNT Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Say yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By the Lodge Casino, your first choice for fun. And by Cheyenne Frontier Days. Log on to CFDrodeo.com for the full lineup. Down below, Times Square. You know, Spilly, another thing, when I was growing up, you didn't go in Times Square.
No?
Kind of seedy. Now you can take your family at 3:30 in the morning and feel completely safe and comfortable. In fact, you'll see a lot of families in the middle of the night.
You're right.
Here. Nolan, a single and a double tonight, also a 6-4-3 double play. Paul Sewald with the slider, and it's 0-2. One, two, and that's strike three. No argument from Nolan. Second strikeout by Paul Sewald. He has struck out both hitters he's faced. He got DJ to end the 7th inning when he came on for Lugo after the triple by Blackman. This will bring up Parra. Sac fly his last time up. Otherwise 0 for 2.
Double switch time.
Terry Collins going to make another move. Back in a moment.
As we head and look forward to Star Wars Night, which is coming back for 2017 on Saturday, July 22nd versus the Pirates. Purchase the ticket special and receive a collector's edition Star Wars t-shirt. Coming in for Terry Collins in a double switch. Jerry Blevins, probably the most dependable reliever for Terry Collins this season. Look at inherited runners, obviously doesn't have any, but tied for 5th in the majors.
So 1 out, nobody on. Gerardo Parra to be followed by Raimel Tapia. 3 straight lefties in the Rockies lineup: Parra, Tapia, and Gonzalez. Matt Reynolds is in at third base. Rivera comes out. Reynolds will hit third next inning. Blevins, good situational lefty.
Lefties are hitting 167 against Blevins, 12 for 72.
Curveball for a strike. Those numbers define a situational lefty. Right-handed hitters, not so much, but lefties, really good. Two on a Gerardo. Gerardo, before he got hurt with that quad injury, in the 8 games right before the DL stint, he was hitting .609, 14 for 23. Since he's come back, coming into tonight, 9 for 17 after missing a month. And Blevins able to strike out Gerardo. That'll bring up Tapia. He doubled in a run in the 6th inning. 1 for 3 tonight for Ramel. Rockies 6 hits last night. They have 7 tonight. The Mets have 7. But they've hit 2 home runs. Bruce, a 3-run shot to get them going in the 1st, and then Seth Lugo, of all people, his first career home run, the pitcher. And last night, the Mets hit 3 home runs. Did I have that right? Or was it 2 home runs? It's 2 home runs. Rivera and Conforto. And now Tapia will go to first.
Just think back to this game. You're looking at the 1st inning, 2 walks and the homer. Then you have in the 2nd inning 3 unearned runs with 2 outs. A home run by the pitcher, like you mentioned. I mean, it's 8-3, but out of those 8 runs, which do you feel was actually scored upon? The home run by Lugo? Where you actually say, okay, yeah, the Mets offense came through.
One 1-0 on Cargo tonight. Ground ball to the right side, 2 ground balls to the right side into the shift, and also a strikeout. 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts against Blevins in previous matchups. And Cargo out front. Cargo trying to fight his way out of the worst slump of his career. And you don't just fight mechanics. More than anything, you fight your mind now, right?
That's all it is.
Can't stay back. You pointed it out. Those are slow breaking balls. 1 and 2. Probably get another one.
Another off-speed pitch coming.
It's a sick feeling, isn't it?
Oh, when you're playing well, the game's fun. You look forward to getting to the field and putting on your uniform and getting in the box. When you're where Cargo's at, you don't ever want to come to the field.
Tapia left at first base. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It remains 8-3.
We head to the bottom of the 8th, and the Rockies will be using their 6th pitcher of the night in Adam Ottavino. Adam, a Brooklyn native, so he is home when he comes to New York and Citi Field, and he reminisced on growing up in the big city.
Growing up in a place with so many people, I think kind of like the city kind of like secondarily raised me besides my parents. Like I had always a ton of friends and there's always a lot of things going on. And I think just the experience of being in the melting pot definitely shaped who I am to this day for sure.
It's pretty cool to talk to Adam about it. I think now that he's traveled the United States with baseball and seen a lot of different cultures, and obviously he shoots photography and he loves to see the lens through that eye. He really looks back on his childhood growing up in Brooklyn. He mentioned the melting pot, had that traditional kind of New York lifestyle, grew up in a brownstone. He played baseball right down the street in the big park over in Brooklyn, Prospect Park. And
well, he just gave up a long home run to Jose Reyes. 9th home run for Reyes, and it's 9-3.
Well, Adam Ottavino's been trying to find his fastball command, and so far for Adam in the last month, along with the rest of the guys on this team, it's been a struggle. Hanging slider. Not the typical Ottavino slider that you're accustomed to, the wipeout. Down and in to the back foot of a lefty, he's just not there.
Jenny, finish your story on Adam growing up in Brooklyn, and he still lives in Brooklyn.
yeah, he actually moved to Manhattan, so they're renting a place over there, and I asked him just about the differences and obviously the hustle and bustle, but he has a young daughter, so it's interesting now for him as a father to watch her grow up in the city and kind of experience and explore all of those things. But again, I think it's just pretty cool. He said he becomes the team tour guide whenever they come to New York and has to kind of share all the good spots with his teammates. But we also talked about his struggles a little bit today. There's no doubt it's been ups and downs for Adam this year, and we just saw that right there with the home run, guys.
The other thing that, Jenny, he takes pride in is other native New Yorkers, guys within the 5 boroughs that have made it, because it's really difficult, and it's difficult for scouts, talking to Adam about this, to assess the talent level, because kids like Adam, who were very dominant, and Adam went to a private school in Brooklyn, but the competition you're facing is not great. So you're trying as a scout to determine, all right, this kid's got ability, but how much ability, and is he really, really good, or is he just pretty good facing kids that maybe are not as good? So he was aware of, for instance, T.J. Rivera of the Mets, who grew up in the Bronx, and he played, for instance, with Pedro Alvarez on a youth services team that had a lot of talent on it. Pedro Alvarez didn't sign out of high school, was offered a lot of money, went on to Vanderbilt, and was at the very top of the first round when he came out of Vanderbilt. Here's Matt Reynolds' first at bat. It's interesting also that Ottavino, everybody can't wait till the All-Star break because he's been grinded for so many months. Adam told me the other day this ball's a hanger, and Reynolds puts it down the left field line foul. That he actually didn't want the break to come because in his last outing prior to the break, he felt like he had found himself a little bit more and felt like he was in a good spot, and because, as Jenny explained, he has struggled so much this first half, he was kind of looking forward to continuing. He threw during the break to a childhood buddy. Keep his arm fresh.
When you talk to relievers, ideally for a guy like Ottavino, they would love to throw it every other day. Every other day is the perfect rhythm for a reliever, and for a guy like Ottavino, who has been pitching on the plus side, there's been stretches where he hasn't been used for several days.
Tapia will make that play. 2 outs. That'll bring up Michael Conforto. It's time for our Kubota pitching performance. The best pitching performance tonight for the Rockies was the guy who also had the best pitching performance in the first half. That was Kyle Freeland, out of the bullpen for the first time in his professional career. 3 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts, did not allow a hit. That's low. Good spot. 1-2. Just off the Subaru strike zone. Butt called a strike. A lot of late movement. 1-2. Rockies fell behind 4-0 in the first. 3 more runs in the second for the Mets. A run in the third. It was 8-0. Rockies got 2 in the sixth, a run in the seventh. Reyes hit a home run to begin this bottom of the 8th inning against Ottavino. Bad miss there. 3-2. That'll end the inning. Jose Reyes with his 9th home run extends the Mets lead to 6 runs. Addison Reed is on for the Mets here in the top of the ninth. Who wants tacos? Fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. 42nd game for Addison Reed, the former White Sox and former Arizona Diamondbacks. So the Rockies have familiarity with Reed, Trevor Story, Tony Walters, and then we'll get a pinch hitter.
Reed has had a very good year this year. When you look at the numbers, the 42 2/3, only 5 walks, 42 strikeouts. Still remember him with the Diamondbacks, and the Rockies a couple of years ago were the team that forced him out of the closer's role with the Diamondbacks.
Story fires at that first pitch. Called strike at the knees. 0-2. Jeff Hoffman tomorrow will try to get the Rockies out of this funk. 1 out. I'll bring up Walters. Tony's walked a couple times. Tony's done a really good job at getting on base. He's gotten on base at a 360 clip, a little bit above that. Hoffman 5-1 this year. No decision in his last outing, and he'll go against the lefty Steven Matz out of Long Island. Gave up 5 runs against the Cardinals on Sunday in just 4 1/3. Walters slices it just foul. There's Jeff sitting next to John Gray. Jeff will have a lot of family at the ball game tomorrow. He's from Latham, New York, Albany area. No more than 2 hours up the New York Thruway. 0-1 on Walters. And the fastball evidently at the very top of the strike zone. It's 0-2. And it was in the Subaru strike zone. Something miraculous takes place. The Rockies are going to fall for the 13th time in their last 15 road games after at one point having the best road record in baseball. They're going to fall to 26-23 out on the road. Two outs. The pinch hitter will be Alexi Amarista.
We've been talking about this for a while over the last 3 weeks, where you've had so many games where you figured there was a meeting after the game, right? I mean, there's just been so many of them where you're expecting, based on what you saw on the field, the way it went down, that there'd be a closed door meeting. And I'm not sure if they've had those, but again, after watching the last 2 nights, you'd expect that if you're going to have a conversation with this group before this thing completely spins out of control.
How beneficial are those meetings in your
It just depends
experience?
On if you're doing it for the last 20 games and this is your 21st straight meeting, not beneficial at all. But if you haven't had one, they can be beneficial. It depends on who speaks up and what you're talking about.
But it's such a difficult game. It's not. I say this all the time. The guy, Tyler Chatwood walked 3 of the first 5 tonight. It's not as if Tyler went out there and said, you know what, I want to put a couple guys on. It's the last guy.
No.
The last guy who wanted to walk somebody is the guy who walked somebody. The last guy who wants to be in a funk like Cargo's in is Cargo. Rockies have demonstrated they're a very good team. They have to find a way out of this and get some consistency. Last week at home they went 4-3. Looked like they're starting to emerge. Got the great start from Kyle Freeland on Sunday. Knocked the baseball around the ballpark to the tune of 10 runs. They need to throw, a few of those out in a row and get their mojo back. Talk all you want about it, but as you well know, you played this game a long time. It's got to happen out there on the field. And they're a frustrated bunch right now. 3-2 on Amarista. Makes managing difficult. When the Rockies were rolling, just right out the lineup card, identical to what it was the night before if you're Buddy Black. Buddy put Toppy in there and sat down Reynolds tonight. Yesterday he had a little different lineup. Tomorrow will be the same thing. We'll get Desmond back tomorrow, so the Rockies will have to make a roster move to get Desmond back on the 25-man active roster. That is what is expected tomorrow. We still have no word on Tyler Chatwood. I know a lot of you are wondering. So stick around for the Toyota postgame show, and hopefully I'm sure Buddy will reveal as to why he had to come out. And that's lined down the left field line, and it is a foul ball. Well, Lexi's putting together quite a fight here against Addison Reed. Pitch number 10 upcoming. And a called strike 3. And that will end the ball game. So the Rockies, 2 forgettable performances to begin the second half here in New York. They lost 14-2 yesterday, and they lose 9-3 tonight. They have 7 hits to finish the ball game. They had only 6 last night. 9-3 the final. The Rockies fall to 52-41, 11 games above 500. The Mets are now 41-47. Time for our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Seth Lugo overshadowed perhaps by the early offense, but he pitched very well. 6 2/3, 3 runs, 7 hits. And he hit his first career home run, a line shot to left center field, and then he got the silent treatment initially in the dugout. So it was a big night for the product of Centenary University in New Orleans, Seth Lugo. And again, it's the Mets 9 and the Rockies 3. With that, we take you to our AT&T Sportsnet studios in Denver. Here's Mark Stout and Jeff Houston.